Hey everybody, it's me, Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. I was attending 42 Luxembourg, a programming school with peer-to-peer learning and very, very strict rules. Everything must be passed 100%, including the exams, timed exams. And I'm resigning or leaving the school under protest, and this is my open letter to 42 Luxembourg. Dear 42 Luxembourg, my name is Leonard French, and this is my open letter to you. I was optimistic when I enrolled in the 42 Luxembourg program, but what I experienced was far from what was promised. You promote yourself as a safe space, a place where every student is supported, welcomed, and treated fairly. Sadly, this is not the environment I found. Instead, I faced a series of discriminatory actions and dismissive responses that have forced me to leave your institution. I have tried since November 8th of 2023 to resolve these issues with you, so I am writing openly instead. I want to tell the world my story because what happened to me should never happen to any student ever. You claim to be a safe space, but my experience at 42 Luxembourg has been anything but safe. The moment I disclosed my disability on November 8th, and again multiple times in December and February, I expected understanding, support, and basic accommodation, just as my wife had received. Instead, I encountered resistance, humiliation, and inconsistent treatment that exacerbated my condition, leading to panic attacks and ongoing unnecessary emotional distress. The issue began when you informed us that students were required to use Swiss Quartz keyboards in a program delivered in French and English to complete timed exams at 42 Luxembourg where a passing grade is 100%, nothing less. You waited to disclose this until just a few weeks before the first piscine, which is a 4-week entrance exam for this program. This caused tremendous anxiety and panic attacks in me. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in information technology, but I did not believe I could focus on the content of an exam while struggling with a completely different keyboard layout. When I requested the reasonable accommodation of using a QWERTY keyboard, an accommodation that was immediately granted to my wife, I was denied and forced to justify my needs over and over again. I was given a lecture on the supposed strictness of your rules, while my wife was given accommodation without any further questions. This discrepancy alone highlights how poorly your institution understands and handles the needs of students with disabilities. During an exam, I was then publicly questioned about my need for a QWERTY keyboard in front of the other students. Despite having already been granted permission, a staff member, Nadia, interrogated me in front of my peers. This triggered a panic attack, leaving me physically shaking and unable to focus. That moment will forever be burned into my mind as a turning point, a moment when I realized that 42 Luxembourg does not care about the dignity or mental health of its students, at least not me. To be forced to stand in front of my peers and be treated like I was untrustworthy, or that my disability wasn't valid enough to be respected, or that I didn't deserve basic human dignity, was humiliating. This should not happen to anyone, least of all in a place that promises inclusivity and fairness. When I attempted to raise these issues formally, I was told by 42 Luxembourg staff that there is no complaint process. Quote, I was repeatedly turned away when I sought help, and when I finally escalated my concerns, I was met with more dismissiveness. I was told it's my problem when 2 different students refused to attend my project evaluation as scheduled. Your institution has refused to take responsibility for the actions of its staff, refused to issue a formal apology, and ultimately refused to allow me to confront Nadia privately about these serious issues. You have brushed aside my complaints and failed to acknowledge the severe impact your actions have had on my mental health. For a school that claims to be progressive and inclusive, this is an indefensible betrayal of those values. I was patient. I waited for accountability. I gave you opportunities to make things right, to show that you are in fact the inclusive institution you claim to be. But instead of addressing the mistreatment I faced, you denied discriminating against me and refused to apologize for it. You eventually refused to allow me to meet with Nadia to discuss what had happened and again request an apology. Let me be clear. My experience was not an isolated incident, nor was it a misunderstanding. It was a clear case of unequal treatment, and your refusal to acknowledge it is both cowardly and disgraceful. This open letter is not just about me. It's about every student who comes to 42 Luxembourg expecting support and fairness, but faces a similar lack of respect. It's about ensuring that no one else endures what I did. So here's what I expect from you. A public apology. I expect a formal, public apology, a public acknowledgement of the mistreatment I faced, including the public confrontation, the inconsistent treatment, and the dismissive handling of my complaints. I was confronted about my special needs publicly during an exam. Your apology needs to be public as well. Concrete steps for accountability. I want to see a clear commitment from 42 Luxembourg to implement proper training for its staff on how to handle accommodations for students with disabilities. No more excuses, no more delays, no more deflecting your responsibility. A true safe space. If 42 Luxembourg is serious about being inclusive and supportive, I want to see structural changes that protect future students from experiencing the kind of discrimination and mistreatment I endured. "42 Luxembourg, you failed me. You failed to uphold your promise of inclusivity, and you failed to respect me as a student with a disability. But more importantly, you failed to treat me with basic human dignity. I won't be silent about it any longer, and I won't let you brush it under the rug. This is my attempt to make sure that my story is heard and that no other student suffers in silence like I have. I harbor no ill will towards the idea that 42 Luxembourg aspires to be, and it is with all of my love and care that I rebuke the treatment of me in the hopes that you never do this to another student again. Sincerely, Leonard French."